Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you something that I told you that I was gonna do yesterday, which was, well, I didn't say I was gonna do it yesterday, I said I was gonna do it soon, which is how to cleanse and bless your statues. Now this process applies the same for cuadros as well. So if you're working with cuadros, then you could still use this for that. Okay. So yeah, you can still use it for cuadros as well. So the first thing is first when it comes to, I'm gonna go down a list of different things you can do, but the first things first when you're doing this, there's different ways that people cleanse their statues. Some people bathe them, like literally bathe them. When they're like painted like this, and this is when they're like painted like this, I'm a little iffy about bathing them because I don't want the color of the paint to come off. Even though I know they coat it but with something, but I still I'm a little iffy about that. Now with Santa Muerte, this is just a bone statue, so I can bathe this if I wanted to. So there's different ways to kind of address how you want to begin based on what kind of statue you have. If you is just a plain type of bone candle, I wouldn't say a plastic one to give it a bath. You can, but again, if it's colored or something, you just have to pay attention to the material. The water can't be too hot, stuff like that. So for this one you definitely can. For this one I would not recommend for the reasons stated. Now the first thing you're going to do when you're cleansing your candle, let's say you just went to the Botanica and you just got a new one, the first thing you want to do, especially, well, if you worked with them before, just welcome them to your home. If you've never worked with them before, welcome them to your home is very specific. As you do each of these examples that I'm going to show you how to cleanse and bless them, you are going to need to be praying. A prayer is actually a really big deal as per bringing in a statue in your home and then having them in your space. You're going to need to welcome them to your home within the prayer, thank them for working with you for whatever situation came up. I know that for me, for example, for me, Santa Marta, before, I mean, I have a statue of her, this is just a cuadro, but for me, I was at the Botanica a while back, and she literally was I was walking by all the santos, all the statues, in the statue aisle, and I literally went, it was the last corner of the side, and I just heard her voice in my head, and she was like, "You need to take me home, we have work to do." And I was like, so obviously I took her home with me, and I've worked with her ever since. She's amazing. She's definitely one of my loas, because for those who don't know, I am Dominican, so there's that. But she's definitely one of the loas that I work with pretty much religiously. Ironically religiously. But I did have to welcome her into my home, and right off the bat, when I started working with her, she already started giving me different ingredients, what she wanted, what stuff like that. They're very kind of open when they're when you're starting it, depending on which one you're starting to work with. I know Santa Muerte does, she'll come to you and start telling you things that you need to be doing, or if you're fixing a candle, she'll start telling you ingredients and stuff like that. So pay attention to what comes up as you are bringing, the process of you getting one to getting home, then actually starting to set up the altar, do all this stuff, and then cleansing before you put them on the altar. Pay attention to what happens, what comes to your head, all of these type of things, because they're actually very important. It also will tell you how open or blocked your crown chakra is, because if you're not able to receive messages from them directly, they'll come in different ways. So some will come in dream work, or you'll get messages for other people, stuff like that, or you'll get a reading and you'll be like, oh, this one's with you, blah blah blah, and then you might want to like start working with them, stuff like that. So it happens. So the first thing you need to remember again is that you need to welcome them to your home. So you thank them for being part of your life, for experience, for helping you, for picking you, for, you know, working with you. And as you go into these different types of ways you can cleanse. Now, the first one that is probably one of the most infamous ways, I would say, within the community is to do a cigar cleanse. And I don't have a cigar to show you guys because I go through these with my girlfriend a little bit too fast. And it's usually not these anyway that you use, but you could still, like, let's say if you're on a budget and you can't get one of these big cigars, then guess what? You can go to the deli and get you one of these. You work the same way. You get you one of those, and you're gonna blow out smoke onto the candle, and that is a form of cleansing. It's a tobacco cleansing. So you can do that as well with the statue. Some of the statues that really love that types of cleansing is any indigenous spirit, any I would say all Afrocentric in the Caribbean spirits usually love their tobacco. So go, you know, go crazy, go wild with the tobacco. So you can give them a cleansing that way. If you don't want to do tobacco, you can go a little bit of different routes. One of my favorite ways to cleanse would be incense, just because it's more traditional for me. No, I'm not saying in this lifetime as traditional. I'm talking about past lifetimes. It's just been a tradition for me to use frankincense and myrrh for spiritual cleansing, spiritual blessings. I like, one of my most prominent lifetimes was in ancient Egypt, Kemet, and I use this a lot. Like, the resins are actually super powerful and they elevate the space like ridiculously crazy. Like, where sage cleanses and just leaves everything blanked out, this just makes it like a high vibration space. So I've worked with this so much, so I recommend it. This is something that also gets used for cleansings, but if you don't want to do the tobacco smoke, you can also run it through incense. I wouldn't recommend running it through like the incense sticks or the cones and stuff like that. You can, I'm not saying you can't, I'm just saying like the resins just work better for me. It's my personal opinion. So yeah, get yourself an incense holder, situation, vacation, and then cleanse with this, and then you could just run the statue through the smoke. So that's one way you can do it. The other way, which is one of the ways that comes up a lot, also very classic in the community, is Florida water. And the way that I like to use this, it might be a little bit different than the way other people like to use it. I've seen people make an herbal, like almost like if you're making a spiritual bath type of thing, but using herbs specifically for cleansing, and then dropping some Florida water in there, and then going and either giving the statue a bath or running it over with like a cloth, and then just literally wiping clean, and then praying over it as that happens. So that's one way that you can do it. The other way that you can do it, which is one of the easy, it's like a shortcut, because you can still do it the other way. You can take Florida water, you can take a cotton round, you can then pass it over, literally just cleanse with the cotton round, because y'all know I be finding the little, you know, the quick, to be shortcuts, but they be working though. You go through all of it, and then what I would recommend, because anytime I do this, it just leaves them cleansed. So you could do this, but for an additional bonus, if you have the cologne, or if you can get your hands on the cologne of the statue that you are working with, for example, I have Yamaya here. After you do the Florida water cleanse with the cotton pad, get yourself another cotton pad from here, and then same as you did with the Florida water, you're going to bless it with their own cologne. And this is an additional kind of like offering, because you know how when you put perfume on and you smelling good and you're going out to the world, stuff like that, it's the same concepts. So you're bringing in the energy that it's like they already love, and you're just making sure they have that essence. So it's just kind of livens up your altar a little bit when you just combine these two. So that's something that I would recommend, and I do all the time. And it's almost like they took a bath. Like, that's what it feels like. They just took a bath and they're just like and you can, again, do every single thing that I told you to these guys. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to give this a bath. You can, because it's like sealed off at the edges, but like, that's a lot of work. You can though. I ain't gonna knock your hustle, but it's still a lot of work. So I would say if you wanted to keep it simple, just as long as your intention is like good and pure and clean, obviously you're gonna be fine. If you don't want to use resins, you can use like sage or Palo Santo, but it's just not like, if that's all you have like in the house, by all means use what you have. But just as long as you're praying afterwards, if it's sage, you have to reset the intention of what it is, like the energy and the vibe, because it's just going to clear whatever it was, you know, if it was just sitting in the shelf for a while, whatever. It's going to clear all that vibes, but you still want to make sure that, you know, you're reestablishing a connection after you do it. And that is done through prayer. And usually, I know you guys are used to me giving you a prayer in the link below and stuff, because for different things that I tell you guys to do. However, this time I'm not going to give you a prayer, because each different statue, saint, spirit, Orisha, whatever, they might require their own customized prayer. So it's not going to be like a universal prayer. It's just going to be more customized. So I do think that depending on who it is that you're working with, you pick the ingredients of the cleansing based on that. So for example, since she loves tobacco, make sure you are incorporating some sort of tobacco cleanse in there. If you wanted to do a water cleanse of some sort, depending on what your statue is made of, for Yamaya, you can, or you can even put her base in a bowl full of sea salt as well, just to kind of have that cleansing energy from both of those two ingredients, water and sea salt, because they're very cleansing anyway. You can also go to the ocean, get ocean water, and then do the same thing, get a cotton round, and then wipe her clean with the energy of the ocean. Just definitely customize based on who we're talking about. Like, it really depends. It really depends. But I feel like these are like really basic ways in how like you can do the cleansing for it. And they're very helpful depending on what you need. However, there are different herbal blends that you can do, and you can use ingredients that you have in your house. Definitely, like if you have juniper berries, peppers work really well. Garlic, like if you just want to get garlic in a pot, throw some Florida water, throw some sea salt in there. Just, you can use that, and then just, if you don't have Florida water, you can do that as well, just to cleanse and just remove anything. And then just pray while you're doing it. So that's the, you know, the big one. Make sure you're praying, because that's you communicating. So you need to talk. Yeah, so that is my ways that you can cleanse and bless your statues. I hope you guys found this useful, and I hope, let me know if there's a different way that you use to cleanse and bless yours, because there's like a ton of different ways. But I try to keep it simple but effective. That's usually how it should be. But definitely prayer is like one of the biggest things that you can do for when you're doing this kind of work. Prayer is like the biggest thing, because a lot of the time when it comes to statues, you're praying. You're just, you know, you're praying. And then some statues, like for example Santa Marta, she already comes blessed at the bottom, so you're just cleansing away anything that was carried over, and then just resetting and starting that connection with her, so it's just, you know, clear and cut, and you're just like, hey, thank you for being here in my home, and all of that jazz. Yeah, so I hope you guys found this useful. I will see you in the next video. Bye.